Welcome to the Cockney Guide to Enlightenment podcast. My name's Stephen Rosen, and in this podcast we go beneath the surface of people's lives to find out what makes them tick. My own life I wrote about in this book, Lost in the Babylon. It's through childhood adversity, organised crime and a successful life as a businessman in the city. When I talk to people, we go beneath the surface of where they got to in their lives and we find out what really makes them tick. So if you want to follow me, connect to me with social media at Cockney Profit. And if you enjoy this podcast, please like it, subscribe or follow us and enjoy the episode. Welcome to the Cockney Guide to Enlightenment podcast with me, Stephen Rosen, and my guest today is Hamish Noah. Hamish, how you doing?
I'm good, thanks, mate. Thanks for having me.
Great.
Happy to be here.
Really nice to have you here, and just a little bit of background of where we know each other. We met on a men's circle a year ago, maybe just over a year ago.
Over 18 months now.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Was it that long ago?
I think, yeah.
Yeah. So this is the first time we've been in person, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
It was an online group, but yeah, I think we kind of connected. There was a lot of similarities in our journeys and stuff, and it's great to have you here on the podcast.
It's great to be here.
Been looking forward to it. Do you want to let people know a little bit about yourself, a bit of background, where you come from?
Yeah.
Where you grew up, that kind of stuff.
Oh, that might take a bit of time. But
Well, just a synopsis,
I'll give a quick summary as I can. I'm Hamish Noah. I live in Tottenham, North London. I've been there a few years now. Finally found what feels like home, because home for me has always been a strange concept. I grew up in 7 countries by the time I was 10. A lot of change in my life, constant movement. Both my parents met working in aviation, and they did some other stuff as well, but I just grew up constantly on the move. And then in Surrey for most of my school years, near Kingston, southwest of London, and then studied up in Nottingham for a bit, lived there for 6 years, went from when I was 18, and then I've been in London ever since. But I've always been on the move throughout my life, and my mum's from East Africa, Somalia, my dad's English, Scottish, British, so I'm British, East African, lived in 7 countries, never known where my home is really, but I now know it's in Tottenham. But,
and that's a journey to get to that place of just going, actually know where home is now.
Yeah, it's the first time I've felt that these last few years, but it's not going to stop me being on the move. I'm still going to be on the move, but I didn't say I am a men's recovery coach, so I help men overcome addiction in a way that I've kind of developed in the last couple of years, which is through mindfulness, recovery coaching and life coaching, a combination of those 3 things, which I found helped me over the last few years. I'm 5.5 years into my own recovery, but I was trying to make changes for a few years before that, unsuccessfully, quite a lot of that time. And I'm also an advocate for around HIV. That was the turning point for me, being diagnosed with HIV. So my 2 things at the moment are recovery coaching and HIV advocacy.
So basically, what I kind of know from your journey is you've kind of using your life experience to turn into something of service, and this is like an ideal guest for me to talk to, because that's kind of really where I come from as well. Going through my journey, and then here we are talking about life, and not only just like the surface of life, but what goes on underneath, and that's why it's really valuable to get that insight into you spent the first 10 years in 7 different countries, because in childhood, I suppose ideally it's a place of where you become safe and secure in your home, in where you are, and who you're with, and just moving that much is quite it's quite unusual, I suppose, unless of course you're a nomad and you're kind of wandering around in the desert or something like that.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
then you got your tribe around you, so your tribe's wandering with you. But I imagine just kind of moving like that, obviously you got your parents with you, but everyone else gets left behind.
Yeah, it was. I remember it being something I got used to, was saying bye to friends forever,
Yeah,
making friends, and then that was it. It was bye, and I knew that wasn't a normal thing. I was just having to learn to let go constantly, which didn't fully translate into my adult life until more recently. But that learning to let go, but I definitely learned to adapt. That's the biggest thing it taught me from a young age, is to the ability to adapt to different environments, which I wouldn't change for the world. That's really, really helped me. And actually those first 10 years shaped me in an amazing way. I think the more difficult times came after that. The 10 years after that were much more difficult, much more difficult. When I was in one home or two homes during that period, those are the years that, my teenage years, that led me to be where I am today.
yeah, because obviously you've mentioned you're in recovery from addiction, so yeah, well, I mean, without going into the whole thing, you know, I imagine that started. What sort of age was that?
The addiction and stuff. It started when I was 11. The whole journey into it started when I was 11, and I was on a hijacked plane from London to Nairobi just before 9/11, 9 months before. And actually, if the aviation industry had paid more attention to the flight I was on, 9/11 might not have happened. They didn't make, US Airlines didn't make the changes that British Airways did. So my dad was working for BA at the time, and this flight is thought to be the fastest rate of descent that any passenger plane has ever recovered from. So every other passenger plane that has dropped that much altitude that quickly has crashed in history. It dropped 10,000 feet in about 20 seconds, 20, 30 seconds.
And you're on this at 11 years old?
11 years old, and that was a life-defining moment or incident, because it was... it's hard to explain.
It must have been just terrifying.
It's really hard to explain. It was just like being in a movie, really. It was like being in a movie. Things hitting the ceiling. I mean, like cabin crew broke her leg because a trolley flew in the air, came back down on it. People were screaming, and I remember it very, very vividly. And
what was your reaction in that? Do you remember how you was?
I remember having a mantra in my head.
Really?
At 11 years old, and I remember exactly how it played out, and it's not that bad. It's not that bad, because it was so bad that all I could do to comfort myself was tell myself that it's not that bad, and it was really bad. It was.
Who was you travelling with?
With my dad and my brother.
Right. Wow. That's I wasn't expecting that, you know, but it was. That's as you say, a defining moment in life, and.
Yeah. My dad was working for British Airways at the time, so we got cheap flights everywhere. Lucky, really lucky, and we just happened to get the last 3 seats on this jumbo jet. And at the time, it's the biggest plane, passenger plane in the world, 747, 400, size of a football pitch. And because of my dad working for BA, he saw the black box data the next day when we landed in Kenya, and the head engineer said, "You should not be here." Right. He said, "If you showed me that on a simulator 10 out of 10 times, I'd say that's a crash." It was 3.5 times over the safe limit, going nose down. It banked at over 90 degrees. The plane nearly flipped on its back, going hundreds of miles an hour with all 4 engines stalled. It was gliding like that with 400 people on it, and nearly it was 4 or 5 seconds from flipping and breaking up before it hit the ground.
Wow!
At about 20,000 feet up. Yeah.
What was the day after that like, when you landed and you got off the plane, and the next day? I mean,
I remember.
What was that like?
I remember my way of coping with it was. I remember I was in bits and tears when it was happening, and my dad comforting me and my brother, saying, "It's probably just a sandstorm." I remember that. I mean, what a load of bollocks. I don't even know. Sandstorms, first of all, don't happen 30,000 feet in the air. But he just said what he could.
Yeah,
we were over Sudan. He knew our geography was, it was good, and that was the first thing that came to his mind. What can you say? What can you say when you're effectively in what feels like
reminds me of that scene from that film The Mummy, when the mummy like
the sand.
Yeah,
I mean, it goes. They get high, the sandstorms, but not that high.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, maybe that's what comes
not
into
miles
his head,
up in the air. I don't think so anyway. But he just said the first thing he could think of, and you can't. There's not really much you can do to comfort someone when you're just. It was just falling to the ground at hundreds of miles an hour. You know that feeling when it's turbulence and your stomach's in your mouth. You imagine that just constant, but far more intense for about a minute.
Yeah.
For 30 seconds to a minute, and it was coming out of a dive. It was really violent turbulence. You could hear everything shaking, and the G-force was more than what you get in a fighter jet. It was more than the world's worst roller coasters. You know, it was like really. It was the thing that the co-pilot used to be a fighter jet pilot, the co-pilot who saved the plane.
Yeah.
And he pulled off what is known in the industry as the miracle maneuver. It's actually known as that because he pulled off what.
Was it known as that before, or it's known as that after?
because of what he did.
Yeah.
Put it this way, my brother met two newly qualified BA pilots by chance in a pub in Teddington in London, and he found that out, and he said, I was on BA 2069, and they didn't believe him. They said, you're joking, we don't believe you. And he described it, and they said, we've just done that in our emergency training.
Right, yeah.
It's our emergency training, our stress test. I don't think they're not expected to pass it, but I think the best that either of them did it was on the 7th attempt and 9th attempt, recovered it. So most pilots, we'd all be dead. We were very, very lucky to have that person flying it, and it's to this day it's British Airways emergency cabin crew training as well. I know two people whose mums or family are cabin crew for BA.
Yeah,
it's in their emergency
training.
So
I mean, just thinking of the impact on that, and obviously you've described it so well, of being in that experience. But what happens the next day after that?
So the next day, to answer your original question, I don't really remember the next day much. I remember flying back to London a week later on exactly the same plane. Me and my brother got to the airport. We saw the tail. We were like, Dad, we're not getting on that. He was like, boys, that is the safest plane in the world at the moment. It's been sat in a hangar for several days being checked top to bottom. There is no safer plane to fly home on.
Stand up to as well.
Yeah, exactly. So he was like, don't worry. We flew back on the same plane. But what happened was then 9/11 happened. It kind of was really disruptive to my dad's career. Yeah. They shut down. He was made redundant after 9/11 for BA. And that was really disruptive for the whole family. And I'm not going to go into detail, but it was a difficult family situation growing up. And the drinking and drugs started at 12, 13. Drinking at 12, drugs at 13. And then one thing, I was a stoner for a few years. I was just a stoner. And I remember saying, I'll never touch Class A's. I'll never touch the hardest stuff. I'll just stick to the plant. I'll stick to the herbs, and that all changed a few years later.
Yeah. So wow, I mean, obviously that's a hugely traumatic event to happen, but in another way, I mean, I love that you just had a mantra in your head at that age, and just some level of this is happening, and it's going to be okay. I mean, that's like...
I don't know if I was thinking it was going to be okay. I was more...
What was your mantra again?
It's not that bad.
It's not that bad.
It was a way of me coping with something that was unimaginably...
terrifying.
Terrifying. It was. There's no other way to describe it. The only thing I can compare it to, in my mind, is kind of like being buried alive, because you're in a not that I can imagine what that's like. But you're in a box, and there's nothing you can do about it. You're in a box with your death approaching, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can't get out. You can't change it, and that is. That's how it felt. I'd been flying enough at that age to know that that felt like we were going to crash.
Yeah, my kind of question coming from that really is, has that impacted or has that changed your experience with death, around death? Have you found that, you know...
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in what way?
I think it made me... I mean, it wasn't just that. That was the turning point in my childhood. But what happened afterwards was actually a lot more traumatic. Ongoing for a long time. I'm not going to go into details, but that changed me. I think it made me more rebellious. It made me more fearless about pushing myself to the edges. I don't know why, but feels like before that I wasn't that like much of a risk taker, but after that I was, and I don't know if I can pin it down to that or what happened afterwards, but I definitely. It was a couple of years later where things started to just not bother with school, getting suspended and getting myself into trouble. I definitely relate to you selling stolen shoes on Brick Lane, because I was shoplifting and hustling in school. I was picking up ounces of weed because I was shoplifting and selling those games and DVDs in school to people in the years above me even. And making, I was doing a paper round, but I was making myself more money doing that, and then, just hustling from when I was a teenager as well, and just not giving a shit really about school anymore, which I let go of it. I was really academic when I was younger, and I kind of just let go of that and took the other path from when I was 11 onwards. So I mean there's a lot of stuff there that's gone on that obviously the effects play out in life, and I'm just kind of relating back to my life, not my story, but just having a chance to have done a lot of work on my earlier life and looked at, the conditioning, the wounds, the stuff that I turned into a mode of survival. There's a lot going on there. There's a lot going on. So, it sounds like from what you've explained, just that fuck it distraction. Go to any risks at any lengths. I'm kind of, I'm familiar with that way of life. And I couldn't have told you like why I was like that at the time, or what was going on even, but only the fact that, they were the facts, and that's just how it was. But there's I mean, kind of like, I don't want to get stuck in that period of your life, but you obviously. You used drugs for quite a number of years, and you mentioned the HIV. I mean, when was you diagnosed with HIV? That was January 2020.
January 2020.
Yeah, 8th of January 2020, 2 months before COVID lockdowns in the UK, and I was lucky. It was caught then, because I was diagnosed late, and my immune system had just gone like that, because I was using hard drugs and working a stressful two jobs, but working non-stop, while getting on it every weekend during the week, really running on little sleep. My immune system had just gone like that, and I was diagnosed late. So if I had got COVID that first lockdown, it would have wiped me out.
Okay.
The doctors have told me that. I had a Jamaican doctor at the clinic. Actually, he said COVID would have licked you off. I remember that well. And I'm lucky I was diagnosed when I was.
So do you know where you contracted it or how you contracted it? I mean, there's a lot of, and the reason I ask because I was just kind of picked up on the news yesterday. There's a lot of stuff about this blood stuff that was. happening. A lot of people got infected through that.
It was a lot of drugs and a lot of sex,
Right.
recklessness, and it's a thing affecting a lot of people, known as chemsex. It's a lot of people using the drugs to enhance sex, and what that means is a lot more risky situations. I thought I was being safe the whole time. I was convinced.
Yeah.
But clearly not. I mean, I was taking drugs for 2 days straight, not sleeping, and kidding myself, absolutely kidding myself about the risks.
So any sense of safety is just eroded.
You're in denial. Just
Yeah.
living in denial. Living in denial for for 20 years until then, pretty much, for around my mental health, around my at that point I'd been 3 years of unraveling my own mental health issues. For 3 years by that point I'd started meditating a few years before and stuff, but that was the thing that forced me to wake up. It was like I don't have a choice now. I was really ill, and I had to make changes, and I an amazing supportive partner at the time who was by my side during that, and to be honest, I feel so lucky that I did, because a big part of it was her support that helped get me through it. Yeah.
It must have, yeah. I mean, what I'm just trying to think. How do you react to that knowledge, that knowledge of that diagnosis? I mean, it's.
I did not know much about it when I was diagnosed, and most people don't, because it's not in the news and like it was, when.
Yeah, in the 80s, 90s.
80s and 90s. Not that I was around. I was born in 89, but even I know, anyone that knows what happened.
I had a couple of friends who died in the early 90s. Couple of really nice lads,
Yeah.
Partners, one gave it to the other one, and they both died like within a few days of each other. It was like
Yeah. So to this date, 40 million people have died due to HIV and AIDS. 40 million.
Yeah, it's a figure you don't often hear about. First time I've ever heard it, to be honest.
40 million people, and it just so happens that today there are 40 million people living with HIV. So
Really?
all the 40s. HIV has been discovered 40 years ago.
Yeah.
In that time, it's killed 40 million people, and today there are 40 million people living with HIV. It's a total coincidence that, but so most people living with HIV today are on effective treatment, which means they can't transmit the virus to anyone. Most people. In this country, we are pretty much the best in the world for anywhere with a significant number of people living with it. 98% of people are on effective treatment and can't pass it on. 98% of people living with HIV. So
I mean, that's a great statistic to have, and obviously it speaks volumes about how we've dealt with it within our health service, within our country, within our system.
Within our country, because it's not that good in other countries.
Right.
Even in America, I think 2/3, the number's more like 60 something percent, not 98.
Yeah.
So they've got big things to deal with over there.
Yeah, because obviously, I mean, that small difference in that percentage means it's getting passed on.
Exactly. But to come back to your question, I didn't understand much about HIV. I didn't know much about it, so I had all sorts of things running through my head. I had all sorts of assumptions. I thought I was going to die. I'm sure at points I thought I'd never be able to date again. I thought no one would ever want to be near me. I thought I couldn't bear the thought of telling people in my life all these things at once while I was on a come down from meth. Like I was feeling horrific at the time I was diagnosed, which did not help. I was really vulnerable at that point. Looking back, I was not in a good place, and I was keeping. I told my dad, and I told a couple of people. I remember a couple of people I called, and the Terence Higgins Trust, which is the UK's leading HIV charity, calling their helpline. I called Samaritans a couple of times that period, and I just remember being in a state of shock for a few days. Like this is the rest of my life now. What the fuck? Literally did not know what to make of it. And then within weeks on treatment, despite being diagnosed late, what is categorized as AIDS. The term AIDS isn't really used in the UK anymore, actually. It's very stigmatized.
Autoimmune deficiency syndrome.
Exactly. It's not actually really, it's never once been used by my medical team or clinic because it's so stigmatizing. It's called late stage HIV now, and it's so treatable. That's why I'm here today. I know people who had much worse immune systems when they were diagnosed, and they're living healthy, happy lives. And it took a few weeks on treatment for me to become undetectable, which is when the virus is suppressed and you can't pass it on.
Right.
I thought they thought it would take 6 months. It took more like 6 weeks.
I mean, that's rapid, isn't it?
Unbelievable. Yeah.
It just shows you how the medicine has really met that particular illness and disease.
Yeah. So I mean, I dedicate my life to raising awareness around it now and trying to help other people who are going through that. There's a limit to what I can do now, but I really want to do more to help people in sub-Saharan Africa, where it's the biggest challenges are with it, because I lived in Malawi as a kid and in the late 90s and in Southern Africa, and that changed my life. That changed my entire perspective on life, made me shaped who I am today. And I'm sure I'll end up back there at some point in my life. I've no doubt in one way or another. But I want to do more to help communities out there who are living with unbelievable stigma, even from health services. You know, people being called dirty by nurses in hospitals and things. The awareness is so low in places. The stigma is so much, and this awareness hasn't caught up with the science. That's the problem. There's this massive disconnect, and it's a big part of my life.
So I mean, there is, when you look at different countries and what we've got compared to what they've got in terms of resources, there's a vast difference. And I know something that I think I saw on your Instagram talking about your advocacy of HIV. You was at Downing Street, was you? Did you?
Yeah.
I thought I saw you there.
Yeah.
What was that? What was going on there?
Totally surreal moment and experience. So we're in summer 2025. It was January 2024, on my 4th anniversary of my diagnosis, that I shared my story. And 10 months later, I was invited to 10 Downing Street after sharing my story. And what's happened is basically I just got involved with Terence Higgins Trust, the charity that helped me, leading HIV charity. I'm trying to remember how this came about, but I was in touch with them, and next thing I know, I just had an invite in my emails that there was a World AIDS Day reception at 10 Downing Street, first time in 15 years since Gordon Brown was PM. And they invited me along as an HIV advocate to meet the PM and be at that reception. And at the time, I mean, it's all a bit of a blur because it was November 2024. My dad passed 3 weeks later, 3 weeks later, and I was in the middle of caring for him in hospital at that time in Scotland. I got the invite. I was literally living out a hotel with a hire car in the Scottish Highlands, trying to continue working. Hire car was my office. You know, I was taking calls from the hospital car park for months. It was the most difficult period of my life.
Yeah.
And that second half of last year. And then I got this invite and I was like, I've got to go. And it was one of the few times I had to say bye to my dad. I didn't know if he'd be there when I got back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't really remember.
Yeah, man. And that's like the real nature of life, isn't it? It's painful. It gets painful, and yeah, I can really feel your loss there.
Yeah.
I can feel it, mate. But so it's good. It's good to demonstrate. It's good to feel. I think it's good to allow ourselves to experience feelings, because you know so much of life out there, especially for men, people just don't allow that, you know. So
he's one of the reasons I do.
Celebrating you, brother.
Yeah.
Celebrating you.
Celebrating my dad.
Yeah.
He is one of the reasons I can connect with my emotions, because he showed me nothing but love my whole life, and that was literally the last thing that one of the last things he saw was a picture of me with the PM, the picture of me at Downing Street, and that was a blessing for him to know or to see that. He hasn't seen this, things that have happened since. He hasn't seen, it's only been 6 months, 7 months.
Yeah.
But
I'm sure he was aware of your struggles through your life and through your journey, so that must have been just a really valuable...
He was there the whole way through, yeah. Every time I hit rock bottom, he was there. He was there for me. There was a point I mean, the whole time growing up, as I said, I'm not going to go into details, but we didn't have the best relationship when I was growing up because I was such a fucking rebel. I wasn't ready to connect in the same way. I was just trying to run away from everything and be rebellious. But as we got older, the relationship just got better and deeper. And I lost a friend in the first year at uni. I had a breakdown, dropped out of uni. I was off my rocker on all the drugs I was doing. I wasn't sleeping half the week, and he was there for me. You know, I was dropping out. I was like, Dad, I can't do this. I can't be at uni. I'm not going. I'm not actually going to classes. I couldn't manage my life. He was there for me. When I got diagnosed, he was there for me, and so it was amazing. I could be there for him throughout the end. And do you know what? Fuck. It's in my calendar. He was diagnosed with terminal cancer 1 year ago today.
All right.
Today. That's probably why I'm emotional. Because that was the day he called us up, me and my brother, and said, I'm going to die soon.
I feel his presence in you. I really feel that.
Yeah, it was a year ago. He told us that. We had that conversation.
And just winding back to that comment he made when you in the plane, you know, it's just, it was like he was there for you. He was there. I missed all of that, you know. He was there. I felt that.
Yeah, so I was there for him at the end as best I could. But when I went to 10 Downing Street, it was just I wasn't fully present because I was, my head and heart were there with my dad in Scotland. I was there, my body was just carrying my head, and I had a bit of an episode. I mean, I live with, because of everything I've been through, what I now realise is complex PTSD, basically, and I just have to manage this every day, and that was what was driving all all the stuff I was doing for so long. I have to
Yeah,
manage
the
that.
destruction, the need to escape, to just, all of that stuff.
Sure, just self-medicate, self-regulate.
Yeah.
But I was drawing on drugs most of the time, and so when I got to 10 Downing Street, I had a bit of an episode. I was overwhelmed, and I didn't make it to the meeting with the PM. I was meant to be in another room with him, and I ended up meeting him another way after his speech, but I basically didn't turn up to where I was meant to be. I was at a total mind blank, like dissociation when I got there, and I was like saying hi to a couple of people, but I wasn't in my head.
Yeah.
I wasn't. It was literally like I can't really remember what happened, and it just happens sometimes. I was going through so much stress, unbelievable levels of stress and emotional pressure, and so it was amazing. It was an honour and a privilege, but also I'll always remember it for being the last thing I did before he passed.
Listen, I mean, just thank you for your honesty and your integrity of sharing that. I mean, a lot of people would have wanted to gloss that over and made it something different, but it's like so valuable. I really, I see you, man. I see you in that. I really see your experience there.
It's still raw.
Of this human experience that, we're not all shiny, even in events like that where, it's a lot of it's about the cameras and the photo ops and all of that kind of glamour of, people want to present themselves in life. But what you're showing is like, this is the reality of your life, of your struggles, of your feelings, of your engagement with life, your willingness to show up and engage in life, even when it's really difficult. And I appreciate that.
Thank you, mate. And what you were saying about the glamour, that side of things, being around famous people and stuff, I really felt like an alien. It's not somewhere I feel comfortable. I really don't like status in society. I don't like the way that works. I don't like it, and so I felt really out of my comfort zone there, maybe felt like a fish out of water, or just like I was kind of alone in a crowd when I was there. But a lot was going on. But I just wanted to say as well, it's one of the reasons I connected with you, and one of the reasons you really inspire me is because knowing. I have to mention this. I said it to you earlier, but I'm halfway through your book. I got it well over a year ago.
Long time ago, I remember.
Well over a year ago. But I am someone, and this is one of the symptoms. I've had to quiz ChatGPT on this. Why do I read 25 books at once? Right? Because I don't know. Why can I never finish a book? And that's why it took so long. Because I've got 20 plus other books that I haven't finished. That I'm still trying to, but I eventually started it, and I really wanted to finish reading the book before this podcast. I thought it's the least I can do, and I still haven't managed to. I'm only halfway through, but what an inspiring book, and so well written, and I really feel like I'm in your shoes for a lot of it, and I'm really inspired by your story and the way you write about it, the way you recall different things you went through, and the grit, just the rawness. I really relate to that. I resonate with that. I don't like things fluffed up. I don't like that. I like to feel things as they are, see things as they are, and it's what you do with your podcast here. And
it's thank you for that. I really appreciate that, and it's just it's really good to hear. I mean, I do get feedback on the book, but just to hear people, meeting that book, where potentially is a great place. How I put that book out there, people are meeting it in that place and feeling that, the power of it, and the just the experience of life, and it's rough and it's raw and it's it's and there's no expiry date on it either. So.
No, I will let you know when I finish it, and I will share it with the world when I finished it properly.
Love a review, always love a review, you know, just to get people's take on it. You know,
well, it's a really it's a really it's a thrilling read. Like I feel like I'm in a series or something.
Yeah.
You know, I can feel like I'm there. Even more so because I keep coming across places I've lived.
Right.
I've been as I said, I grew up most of my childhood in Surrey, outskirts of London, and I was going to London as a teenager, but I've lived in London after Nottingham for 12 years now, and all of that in East and North.
Yeah.
So from Tower Hamlets, Hackney, now Haringey, Tottenham. So everywhere mentioned in the book is that it's all those ends.
Yeah.
And I used to live in Stokey. I live in Tottenham by Broadwater Farm now, and you speak about that in the book. And
yeah, I suppose just reflecting on nothing like yours, but you know, there's a period of my life when we was getting shifted around a lot. You know.
Yeah. Well, that I related to that. I completely related to that, and that. It's one of the things that I identified with in the book. It makes it a lot more real when you can. I know what the streets look like. I know what that road looks like that you mentioned in the book.
Yeah.
You know, I just literally on the way here read about the Lion and Lamb pub. Like I go there sometimes in Hoxton. You know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's brilliant, and I'm really grateful that you're so enthusiastic about it, and kind of, I suppose what I was trying to put out, getting back to your journey, is just like the realness of you know how difficult it is to change, and you know, just going back to that piece of you being in Downing Street, and you know, just stepping into change and still in the struggle, and for me that's the real value of these conversations, is that, you know, change doesn't always look nice and smooth and transitioned. It's like, for me, it always come from a struggle and a realisation that what was happening on whatever level really wasn't working anymore. And quite often the options were like either, you know, just bury myself and carry on in that, or move into something different. And you know, you've obviously moved into a different path from where you come from. The emotional piece, you know, getting in touch with your feelings, crediting that to your father's influence in your life, you know, is kind of rare for a lot of people, because a lot of people's fathers didn't have that influence. I know mine didn't, for sure. But yeah, I mean, what are the kind of like, what are the tools that you're using to you know, use your story and move into the work you're doing? I know you're a coach. You said you was a recovery coach.
Yeah.
You're an HIV advocate. I know that you're recently just setting up some courses. We was talking about that. I mean, what are the tools from your experience that you can really, you know, put out and say, like, this is what I believe in at the moment? And obviously it might change. We're evolving all the time. I know I am, you know, I'm just kind of working on a screenplay at the moment. But, you know, that hopefully will lead into something else. But it's all about, you know, bringing access to an insight of the kind of stuff that we've been talking about.
Yeah.
That normal conversations out there don't talk about, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know if there was a question.
There was, yeah. Well, the tools, I think, is what I got from
it.
But just to finish on talking about my dad, he showed me love. He always showed me love and like made me feel special, made me feel loved. But I wouldn't say he was that in touch with his emotions. No, I don't think, and that's not a reflection of him. I think that's a reflection of an entire generation.
Yeah.
Across the world, probably, you know, of society. He was born in 1949, and I think that's just a normal experience for someone of that era. The whole, you know, mental health movement has come about in the last 20 or so years. Yeah. People didn't talk about this stuff. It was stiff upper lip. It was get on with it.
Yeah, it was very stoic, wasn't it? Very stoic approach to like life.
It's funny you say that, because that is one of the tools that has really helped me in recent years is stoicism, a stoic attitude to certain things. but I think it needs to be coupled with other
balanced
with other stuff, and the things that really helped me move from what I would call a just a destructive life at times. And I should say I was holding down a job 9 to 5. I was working 2 jobs. I was living on the surface a normal life, what most people would think. But then I would lose 2 nights of sleep a week. I'd spend hundreds of pounds a week on drugs. I'd go into work on no sleep. All sorts, throughout the last 10, 15 years, just on a weekly basis, ongoing. And I tried to make changes before, and it started with, and this is the thing, I think the biggest learning I've had is, if you don't deal with your problems, your relationships will show you them.
Yeah. And
that's something that's definitely happened in my life. This change started to come about in some previous relationships, and I'm blessed to have had some, amazing ex-partners who've had patience and love to stay with me through some periods where I've been not a person that I want to be.
Yeah.
I've lost relationships. I've destroyed relationships because of that. But others I've learned in, and it started when it got to a point a few years ago where it was 3 years before I was diagnosed, I think, where I've got to go to therapy. I've got that seed was planted somewhere, right. And I had to go. As I said, I was carrying a lot of stuff from childhood, so I found myself in therapy for a few years on off, and it was also an ex-manager of mine who planted the seed of meditation.
Right. Yeah.
Because I was obviously, I must have been really erratic at the time. I was taking a lot of drugs, and I must have been quite difficult to deal with at times at work, and that was a tough pill to swallow. Excuse the pun. Actually I've been a bit of a dick here, or I could have gone about this better, and having to take stock of that and take myself into therapy and start a journey of meditating. And so it was just through apps. It was through Headspace, a meditation app, that I started that. I love the main teacher on Headspace. I think he's great for anyone starting out. He's got his own story about why he started the app, but that was an on-off thing that didn't stop me being self-destructive. Didn't stop me being destructive. It was 3 years of on-off before I got diagnosed. And when I did, it was meditation that helped me shift my internal world, doing that every day, trying to build a practice every day. It was journaling, and I will stand by that till the day I die. Journaling specifically I got one with a template. Right, I got a hard copy journal with a template that I could fill out every day. It was called the 6-minute journal. It's still out there. And that was 3 minutes in the morning, 3 minutes at night. And that was shifting my external world, because I was externalizing my thoughts, my feelings, what was going on every day. I was paying attention to what I was doing every day. Because before, I was on autopilot. We all live on autopilot. So journaling helped me, and I do that with my clients today, and I've gathered a few more helpful strings to the bow, if you like, that I use with that. But meditation, journaling, and then the third big one is community. Is having some people, or person at least, but people that you trust, that you can be with when you're going through change, when you're dealing with something new, or you're trying to make big changes. You've got to have people with you.
I think it really helps, and I'm just reflecting on what you've said, and what I took out of that was really that starting to take agency for oneself, of realising that actually, I have to engage in this to change, and and the meditation and, you know, the journaling, I can relate to both of those. Meditation, not so immediate for me in my change journey, but certainly there was community. I had to be around people who could support what I was doing, because, you know, left to my own devices, I was a survivor, but my survival skills were killing me, you know. That's how good at surviving I was. And so they're really valuable to have community, to have people, you know, especially when you're moving from one area of life into another. You know, if you're around the old area of life and there's, you know, the same energies there, it's difficult to kind of get supported in moving forward. I'm not saying, you know, it sounds like you had some good partners that was supporting you, but I think it's really difficult. So I think it's so valuable that you've mentioned that and the meditation and just getting out of yourself by journaling, writing things in black and white on a page that you can then look back. I mean, that was so powerful for me to shift my perception of my reality that I lived in, you know, because I created this whole reality, and when I wrote about it in black and white, it was like, shit, is that me? So there was that real, disengagement from actually what was going on in my head, you know, to put it into like, you know, let's get some structure here, let's get some things in place. So so I can see the value of all of those things. Really powerful. Really powerful.
I think and I facilitate a men's recovery group. It's one of the things I do. And last night the theme was awareness, and that is that's the first step in all of it for me. Is and that's what the meditation does. You know, internal awareness and journaling is awareness of, you know, what you're doing every day, how you're feeling, what's happening, and building self-awareness and awareness of how you're living your life, how you're going through your days. If you can do that, then it opens up space for change. If you're not aware that you're thinking a certain way or you're feeling a certain way, and that's leading you to do X, Y, Z, you got no chance of stopping it if you can't pay attention to those triggers, to those things that are happening. And another thing I should say is a year into my journey, a year after I was diagnosed, a friend said, "Oh, there's this meditation challenge at the Buddhist Centre, London Buddhist Centre. We used to live together in Bow, Tower Hamlets, and she always used to go there. And that was when I was on the bag every weekend. I wasn't ready to be going to the Buddhist Centre at that point, but she was going, and she kind of invited me along. It was during COVID. It was an online thing, and that was 4.5 years ago, and that was the first time I'd been part of a spiritual community as an adult. And that really shifted things for me, having people all just working towards being more conscious, more aware. I'd been in recovery groups. I'd been in the 12-step groups at that point, on off for a year, but this felt different. For me, it was like the focus was on meditation, focus was on that, and that really helped me as well, having a spiritual community, elevating my consciousness. And I think even if you're not spiritual, not religious, I wasn't. I had a Christian dad, Muslim mum. I sacked it all off when I was a teenager, and my dad supported me at that moment. I was like, Dad, I don't want to go to church anymore. And I didn't go much, but him coming from a Christian family, he supported me. He said, that's all right. But I reconnected with spirituality these last few years.
Yeah, because a lot of people, you know, just as just an observation, a lot of people, you know, spirituality isn't necessarily religion, is it? It's, you know,
no,
it's completely different. Can be a completely different path to consciousness, I think. You know?
Yeah, there's something that always sticks out in my mind. I listened to a lot of music when I was young. I've been a DJ since I was 13, kind of semi-retired now, but I used to listen to a lot of hip hop. There's a song by Common, a rapper I was listening to a lot back in the day, called God, G-O-D, Gaining One's Definition. Finding meaning. and you find meaning in your life.
Yeah.
You find your path. That's spiritual awakening. That's spiritual growth.
Yeah.
That could be whatever you want it to be. Whatever it is to you, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter, no. And we've all got our own perceptions of that. But just winding that back to what you were saying about awareness, the start of a journey or any type of healing or change, I think you said is really important, is awareness. And I think without that, there is so much conditioning in life. There's so much, of our own journeys, our own belief systems, our own coping mechanisms that we build up, that we interface and look at life through, until we start getting some awareness. It's really hard to change, it's really hard. And that's why it's valuable to have the support communities, a spiritual community, if that's, where you feel connected, or you feel connected to something, to just raising your consciousness, your vibration. I mean, it does. I think I agree. It does start with awareness, and quite often, that awareness comes as a from a catalyst of some sort of traumatic event or some crisis of some nature. But
exactly,
it's a really important. That's where the door starts to open with that, and then once I think I got the awareness, and sounds like you got the awareness, and what you're advocating and teaching is that this is the best place to start. Let's build some awareness about what's going on, and then we can start looking at some other tools which are equally as valuable. But you can't jump to stage 10 when you haven't got stage 1. It's like and I think that's what happens. A lot of people out there are looking at these people are maybe further down the line, or they're offering something that seems really attractive, but it's a journey to get there. It's work to get there, isn't it? It doesn't start. You can't just jump in. That's what I always wanted to do. Just jump in at the end and have the glory and have the benefits. But
I was literally speaking to someone about this earlier, and if he's listening, he'll know. He'll know that you have to treat recovery like a job or like school. You wouldn't call up and be like, oh, sorry, I'm a bit tired today, not coming into school. Oh, do you know what? My mate's in town, can't come to work today. You've got to show up and put in the work to build that awareness, to get to the point where you're ready to change. Because otherwise you'll stay in the same thought patterns, the same mind state that you've been in for years or decades. So you just have to show up wherever it is. And I didn't always show up to groups. It was therapy, it was groups, it was Buddhist Center, it was coaching. And the reason I do what I do the way I do it today is because what I found helped me was mindfulness and coaching and community. Those three things together. And I try and even the people I work with one-to-one, I encourage them to find their tribe, find a community where they are, as well as whatever else they're doing. And it's about trying everything. Try everything, but treat it like work, because it is, like you said, it's work.
So I think it is work, as you said, it takes work and commitment, and you have to treat it like a bit like going to school, as you just said.
I think it took years of me doing all these different things for me to build the awareness to do the long-term change that I can now feel the results of, that I'm now reaping the harvest now is years of just showing up even when it's difficult. And there were lots of times I didn't, but my biggest learning is just treat it like, as I said to someone earlier today, treat it like work or treat it like school. You wouldn't call up your boss and say, I'm sorry, no, I'm just not feeling it today, Or you wouldn't say, oh, sorry, I've got a mate in town, can't come to school today. You'd get sacked, you'd get suspended. You've got to show up. And if you want to create the conditions for long-term change, you need to show up.
Yeah, it is about consistency and and showing up and engaging. And I think it's been a really powerful conversation. Really, I think that's a great place to leave it. To leave people with like just that impression of this is work. Change. It takes work. It takes application. It takes awareness. It takes all the things that we've been speaking about. And Hamish, brilliant to have you on board, mate. Brilliant to have you on board. Where can people connect with you and connect with the work that you're doing?
Mainly on social media. So I've got, I'm mainly on Instagram, LinkedIn and TikTok. Hamish.Noah on Instagram, Hamish Noah, LinkedIn. Same on TikTok, hamishnoah.com. All my stuff's on there. I help people one-to-one. I've got a recovery group, men's recovery group, and I'm starting to put out courses soon, so I can help people, in a more accessible way. There's a lot of things people can learn on their own. I mean, a big part of my journey was reading books, watching videos, absorbing all this information.
Resourcing materials,
yeah. The people I learnt from, things I learnt from, and I've tried to pull it all together in my coaching and in my course content. And it's just the beginning of that, hopefully. But it's been an absolute pleasure and an honour to be here, honestly, with you.
Absolute pleasure to have you here, brother. I really enjoyed this.
Me too.
And just connect with Hamish on social media. Check out what he's doing. He's doing some great work out there.
Thank you, mate.
Lots of love, mate.
Thank you. Big love.
Cheers.